We're making no apologies. That's it, so that our people can have access to the land.
Life is difficult, but you must soldier on. Don't give up. If you are a coward, you don't belong here.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Simple Politics. My name is Zizi Paul Lupelwana. So today I am not going to speak much. I actually want to play you guys a clip. But before playing this clip, I wanted to obviously do an introduction. So this clip is about why this person who did this clip, Tebogo, shout out to Tebogo Mabusela. You can find him on TikTok, you can find him on Twitter. He does write articles as well. So he did this video that says, Uguti, why do I have a beef with Jacob Zuma? And I feel like it's such an important, it's such important points that is bringing across. And I'll tell you why. This is a conversation what we have with MK people on TikTok, like on literally almost a daily basis, where they would say, Uguti, we're not supposed to have a beef with Jacob Zuma. We're all working in trying to liberate the black people. So we should be working together. But I think also it's not okay to dismiss how other people are feeling and what makes them feel that way. Especially, you know, I always have this conversation on TikTok with the people of MK. When they say, Uguti, when it comes to MK, we have to put aside our things that we don't like for the greater good. We need to be we need to not be selfish, you know, but whatever that we do, know that we're doing for the black people. So forget everything that obviously we don't agree with Jacob Zuma, and support MK, because that is for the greater good. And I say to them, I understand that, you know, I get it, but I always feel like that point is unfair. For example, the EFF for 12 years now has been preaching, okay, fine, let's liberate the black person. Let's work together. Let's unite. Let's stand together so that we can lead the country. And a lot of people couldn't put aside their selfish reasons. They couldn't put aside what they don't agree with Julius Malema. They just couldn't do it. As a result, most of them ended up not voting. The people that couldn't put aside their selfish reasons why they don't like Julius Malema, you know, why they hate Julius so much, they couldn't put those reasons aside for the greater good. The same people now that Jacob Zuma has opened a party and they started voting for Zuma, everybody now must put aside the things they don't like about Zuma, things that they couldn't do for 12 years. Because everybody who doesn't like Julius Malema could have put aside what they don't like, and we all voted and take the country. We could have done that, but they didn't want to do it because they didn't want Julius Malema to be the president. Now that Jacob Zuma has a party, everybody must forget, and everybody must put aside their selfish reasons and forget the things they don't like and wara and vote for Zuma. I find that very, very hard to believe. For 12 years, you could not put aside your selfish reasons. You could not bring yourself to think of the greater good, to think of the unit. 12 years later, something that we have been preaching, you want us to put aside our selfish reasons and vote for Zoom. It does not work like that. But anyway, so I found this very interesting, the points that Tebogo was bringing across, and I was like, oh my God, this is worth me sharing. You know, obviously, if you don't agree with the things that he's saying, I mean, it's your opinion. But if you don't agree, please type on the comment section what you don't agree with. If you do agree, type in the comment section that you absolutely agree with him. Yeah, let's get right into it.
So I wanted to talk extensively about what bothers me so much about President Jacob Zuma's decision to form a new political party in the form of the MK party. And that is rooted in a Marxist principle, which Marx teaches about, Karl Marx. He teaches about how, obviously, his main banner is workers of the world must unite. They must gather together. They must be organized and mobilize a war against capitalism. Have a anti-capitalist movement that is fighting for communism and socialism in the world. And he cautions that when we are trying to drive this thing, we must avoid at all times the fragmentation of these organizations. We must always look at the fact that it is more important for us to have those workers organized under one united voice, and hence the decision to fragment that organization by creating a parallel party or a breakaway party must always be well considered, because the workers are going to be much weaker when they are in themselves, when they are divided within themselves. So it's always important to have that as an underlying principle. And yeah, he deals with it quite extensively. Now, I found that the MK party really did not give us. And another thing is that President Jacob Zuma has a lot of videos where he's teaching about Marxist principles and Marxism, socialism, and all of that stuff. He talks about even the labor theory of value. So you know this guy is schooled in Marxist theory. And he's also a unionist. And also the agenda that he drives, if he claims to be progressive, is also being rooted in that Marxist principle of philosophy of thinking. So this is not something that is completely new to him. In fact, within the MK party, when comrades approached him and said, Chief, we think we must form a union because the ANC has a union and that's what gets them votes. And if we formed our own union, we'd be able to get votes. He tells them, no, that can never be the case, because comrades, unions are always better when they are mass movements. Instead of creating a division and fragmenting unions, why would you ever want to do that? He tells them like this: we must never fragment these unions. They are more powerful. Instead, what we should do is we should talk to the leaders of the union, expose just how the weaknesses of the ANC leadership and just how wrong they are, and then sway them to come and vote with us, these unions, so that we have a proper mass movement, but the unions still remain as solid forces as mass movements. So he understands this principle. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. Now, let me move to the EFF. The EFF in 2013, when they make their decision to break away from the ANC, they have a conference in 2013. They analyze a number of things, starting with the ANC, how it's fallen off, how it's followed neoliberalism, and how its leaders have sold out, and all of those things. How they killed miners in Marikana, the cost of living crisis is growing. They really characterize the politics of South Africa. But amongst their characterization of the politics pertaining, they talk about the leftist formations within the country, specifically the SACP as well as COSATU, talking about how these organizations have been swallowed into the politics of patronage, and that they have abandoned working class struggle so that they can advance their own interest in trying to find position. So their allyship position with the ANC has compromised them.
The Congress-aligned left-wing formation have been swallowed into the reforms politics of patronage and will never regain integrity to pursue real working class struggles anytime soon. The trade union movement, which is supposed to defend workers' interests, will soon be swallowed into the same politics of reform. All those who push for a radical agenda will be isolated, banished, and portrayed as anti-government.
And hence we therefore conclude that there is a vacuum of left politics in South Africa, and that's why we're creating a political party. And we find it necessary for us to create this political party instead of trying to fight from within, because there's nothing there. There's nothing. We need to form something anew. And that's when they go on to form a new political party. Now, that is the sound thing that you need to do, because you cannot start a new political party of the left when there's already other existing ones. You must combine your efforts with those pre-existing, even if there are minor differences in terms of color, personalities, and all of those things. Fight from within and try to build instead of trying to sow divisions, because the sowing of those divisions are what can be used to weaken us and to kind of use that divide and conquer strategy against the enemy. So we must always fight for the unity of this thing. Now, when President Jacob Zuma comes in, he forms a new political party. If you go and listen to him speak on the 16th of December 2013, all he talks about is the ANC. He doesn't give us the broader picture of the politics in the country. And he's now deciding to form a new political formation instead of now joining what is already quite a legitimate leftist political party on the spectrum of South Africa, which is the EFF. And for me, I'm just like, there must be an explanation that's given to account for that, because it goes against the principles of progressive politics if they are to be guided by Marx and Marxist principles. And one can see clearly why it's so problematic. This fragmentation of black parties on this thing, because the tension, if it does get toxic, it can cause a lot of chaos. And I mean, I know, I can anticipate, at least from the video, some of the backlash one might get from people who are staunch supporters of Jacob Zuma and the MK party would be that, but the EFF is not a legitimate party of the left. They would bring up stories about how it supported Zuma must fall and how they are bought by this or one other, conspiracies that come about how the EFF has been sold out. It's a project of the CIA and Malema is this, Malema is that. And I'm just like, come on now. And for me, that's also part of the problem, that these conspiracy politics, these are politics of Zuma. So it's of no surprise that these are the kinds of things that emerge. I'll be the first to also admit that President Jacob Zuma has been unjustly crucified and persecuted for wanting to do really progressive things. But that doesn't mean that you can't criticize him rightfully for the certain things that he's done incorrectly. From a progressive perspective, because I've used particularly a lens of Marxism to provide this critique, so that I don't sound like some reactionary of white people who just want to undermine through racism, but you're using in prosecuting the struggle from a progressive lens. And I mean, the sanitization of Zuma, it's because there are certain things he does wrong, and there are some of these things that we need to speak about, and that's what I wanted to address and say. Most of what happens when we're having this discussion is that a historical analysis comes through. People talk about how in 2017, the EFF was involved in Zuma must fall campaign, but we dismiss the fact that 2013 Marikana massacre, these guys came out, defended outrightly the killing of these mine workers. When the ANC Youth League was disbanded, that was the work of Zuma. He allowed himself to be turned on young people, to destroy their lives. State institutions under his presidency were persecuting these young people like Julius and going under their SARS matters. Not in a procedural, not just an accident of auditing and you pick up. No, Praveen was having units of people there that he knew he was trying to persecute. And he was part of this entire establishment, Zuma, back then. Malema, I mean, we can see videos all from when the guy was young that he's speaking the same politics line that he's been speaking until now, right now. For me, I'm just like, that issue of not following that principle, not give us an explanation properly, or how do you give us a diagnosis of what happened for you to go and start your own political party, and what characterization do you give the parties of the left that exist today? There's another clip that I also attached where he's laughing at young man Juju and saying that, you see, this young man is a joke, he's there trying to organize against the ANC. He doesn't know we're more powerful. And another thing is that Advocate Moses Kakane really characterizes the issue properly and says Zuma was misled. For him to go against the young people within the ANC Youth League, those were people who were supposed to be his biggest allies. Those were people who were speaking about progressive politics. The non-negotiable pillars were already there in the ANC Youth League, and they were supposed to help him to advance. And they would have defended Zuma, because these were the young people who were saying, we'll kill for Zuma, we'll die for Zuma. But he was fooled by Bosere, who came and said, no, we must deal with these young people, because these were people who were bored, who didn't want the nationalization of mines, or Jeff Rakadebe, who wanted to get rid of these guys who were speaking about these progressive ideals.
And I've told President Zuma that he was hoodwinked by people who were involved in expelling Julius, who said they were doing it for him as president because Julius and Floyd and Sindiso Makaka disrespected him. Julius, Sindiso, Floyd and others were expelled by people who were already wanting to deal with Zuma but needed that youth league to be dealt with. And Zuma did not catch it.
And he didn't see it coming.
He didn't see that the people who were pursuing Julius and Sindiso Makaka and Floyd and others were trying to remove a youth league that was his base that would have supported him.
So, yeah, man, he must look at that thing, because that's one of the biggest mistakes he's made, and I don't think he will never account for it. It's always going to be a thing where you just try to deflect and work around the situation. But yeah, it's something to talk about.
So yeah, guys, that was the video. Let me know what you think. I found it very interesting. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Zizipho Lupelwan, and this is Simple Politics. Please subscribe to this channel. Let's get to 25K, guys. We are almost there. We are sitting on 23K. Let's get to 25K. Subscribe to this channel. It is free of charge. If you can support, please support the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Aluta continua. Until the next time.